Welcome to our weekly New Global Media Talk Show. Today is April 28th, 2024. Today we're gonna be talking about literary work. We have our guest here, Modou Lamin Sowe, who just had a book published, Africa, but not Africa, but not Africa. So he's gonna tell us his book signing coming up, I believe, in next month, and then also give us some literary background of his work and Gambian literature at large. So I have my co-host here, Sam Sise. Sam, welcome. And we have another gentleman, Seni. Oh, it's Seni. Okay, it's not a gentleman. It's a sister, Seni Mboj. I think this is joining as well from her phone. So we welcome Momodou. This is I call you Momodou because I'm called Momodou, but it's Modou. Modou. So, welcome, sister. Welcome. We miss you. I can see you are eating too. I mean, like the
Yes.
and Sister Kundangas.
Because I really miss you guys so much. I really miss you guys
we
so
miss
much.
We miss you a lot.
You know?
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing?
Good. How
In
you
Denmark
been?
now, the time is changed. Things have changed in the US with me now. So
In Denmark.
how
Oh
are you
my
guys?
goodness.
Yeah, I'm in Denmark. I told you guys. I said now I'm in Denmark now with the family. Now we're working with AC horses with my husband. My husband have a contract there. So we're in Denmark now.
Yeah,
Wow.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Congratulations. I mean,
Thank
it's good
you.
to switch places. I mean, I wish I can have that comfort, like here, next 1 year,
Move,
the following year being in UK,
Yeah, because he's a football coach, so he can be anywhere in the world. So we're just ready, get ready. Get ready anytime we have contract. That's it. We have to go.
You take off. Yeah.
You gotta get me. You guys gotta get me that.
Yes, we have to invite you. We have to invite you to watch a game. Yes, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Anytime we're in Denmark, we have to invite you for a match. Definitely.
Good.
I really miss to see all of you. That's why today I woke up from sleep. I said, look, I have to join my people today.
Awesome.
Definitely. We were not expecting you, but it's great. It's great to see you. And
it's good to do surprises as well.
Yeah, good surprise.
That's why when I saw the name Seni, I thought that was our guest, one of the guys.
Definitely. I feel too bad not joining. Anytime I'm on the move.
No.
Every time on the move.
Trust me, we always know that you are,
we understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're
anyway,
gonna
let's kickstart. Yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna be talking about his book signing. He's coming up, Modou Lamin, and some literary work. This is an area that actually is not as exploited as it's supposed to. As a former, as an author who wrote a book like 12 years ago, I know this area a lot. I know the challenges there because I wrote Dangerous Love, which is available in Amazon and different bookstores, and has been a success. But boy, it was challenging. So we're gonna discuss all of those today, and then it's something also for you guys to also learn something new. If you have not, if you have not been vast in this area,
And which area is that, if I may ask?
This is writing, literally work, writing and poetry, storytelling, and so forth.
Which is important. Which is very important.
Yeah. Because Gambians, we don't read a lot.
We don't read and we don't write. Yeah, we don't like. That's why anybody who can write better. Yeah, that's why anybody in Gambia, if you can write better, they think you are very educated. Sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But sometimes they are. Some people, yeah.
And then because of that, our culture and our history hasn't been, well taught around. Yeah.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Momodou.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Momodou. That's wonderful.
Okay. So let's hear from him, and then we can ask questions and we can share thoughts, and then it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. My sincere greetings to our sister and the entire listeners. I just want to say thank you for having me here to use the opportunity to discuss about my upcoming book launch, at the same time to say 1 or 2 words on Gambian literature, which is very important, like you've alluded, because you've been here and you know how the system works, especially in terms of writing in the Gambia, So we're good to go, Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna start. If you can give us a brief history, how you came to this point in becoming a writer, and then what are the challenges, what are the successes, and so forth. I mean, like I know you've been everywhere. You have really done win some awards. I mean, you've been an example. You have found the Young Gambian Writers Association, and so forth. So you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Momodou, for that very important question, because having understood what writing is all about, especially it's a very complex industry. Obviously, one cannot be a successful writer or becoming successful without, tackling certain obstacles and challenges in order to be counted as one of the lucky writers. Let me get started by saying that I don't see myself as a good writer, not better than anybody. I'm just very hardworking, and I'm doing a lot to ensure that our literature is well represented out there, because I noticed there's been a huge vacuum. It's a gap in the public space where our literature must feel, but we seem to be negligent of the fact that there are beautiful cultures and stories in our country that could sell us out there. Language is everything, especially culture. So having said that, however, I must also hasten to emphasize that I started writing at a very early age, as early as the age of 14, So what compelled me to write a book at that age is divine, because sometimes when God wants you to do something, he does it in a miraculous way, because he's a miraculous God, That's what the Bible tells us in John chapter 3, verse 6, that which is born of the flesh is the flesh, and anything that is born of the spirit is also the spirit, So the Quran tells us in Surah Al-Zilzal chapter 99, verse 5, Bi anna rabbaka awhawlaha. It means that for that thy Lord will give you inspiration to do some. And my inspiration came as a result of a certain hurdle, I had at the age of 14. While I went to school one day, a literature teacher gave the class an assignment, just the day before. So I wasn't even aware of it. So when I got to class the following day, she sent away everybody who couldn't afford the book, Great Expectations, written by Charles Dickens, So I sat quietly in the school garden, and I told myself, look at Africans, why are we not even using our own books in schools, Can you imagine if this were a Gambian book or something like that? I would have definitely afforded it, So I told myself I'm going to write a book, It was just a joke, foolishly. So as I sat in the garden, as a child, you just imagine 14-year-old child had no idea of how to write a book. So I went to bed. The following day, I dreamed that I wrote a book, and I ignored the dream. I said, don't worry, it was just a mere dream. So when it occurred for 3 times, I noticed that's not a dream, So that's my calling. The only thing I could recall from my dream was the title of the book. Don't judge the book by the cover, or don't judge the book by its cover. So I noticed that should be the first book I should write. But how will I go about writing the story, So the storyline is more important than writing the book itself, So I had to be reading, visiting libraries, but of course I had beautiful stories to write because my surrounding teaches me a lot, the beautiful culture, tradition in the Gambia, the stereotypes, a lot of things going on. So especially during that time at the age of 14, when there was common entrance in schools, when our textbooks were only afforded by rich children, can I say rich people's kids, Yeah, only the rich children could afford the textbooks. Education was really great by then, but it was not quite as expensive as today, but it was expensive in the sense that poor people like us couldn't afford some textbooks here and there. So I needed to make a special character called Fatu, and then I picked up a literary device, paradoxically, to ensure that Fatu did not come from a poor family. So she has everything to be educated, to be intelligent, the daughter of a rich person, rich parents. But her problem is she could not even spell the word boy, B-O-Y, So I needed to use that to depict that story, to tell the rich people and the poorer children that, look, whether you are from a rich family or not, if you want to learn, definitely you will, Education is for everybody, So imagine a girl, even spell boy at the beginning, will turn into a genius with the help of a magic pen given to her by a jinn. And this will help her to become so successful that she will represent not only her region and school, but the entire country and the national spelling bee competition. So, it's a very beautiful story of artwork, like I said, the girl child education and things like that. So that served as the catalyst that speed up my writing career at that age, at the age of 14. But of course, coming to the challenges, it was quite difficult to come across any literary house, publishing house, or company that could support, edit, proofread, contract me to publish the book and stuff like that. It really was hectic and difficult at the same time. So I had to be running around from one place to another. Anyone whose name I have heard of at that time as a writer, I visited with my manuscript. Can you imagine written? I think I use a pencil if I don't forget in an exercise book. So I had to go to them. Can you look at this place? This is what I wrote, So it was really difficult. So not until when I had to look beyond the boundaries of my country, that was when my writing career started, because I have been suppressed for so long. People I visited will look at it and give me flimsy excuses. I'm going to edit it. Don't worry. Come to me next week. So they've always been busy. They've never taken me seriously. Not until when I had to go to a nearby internet cafe, I started typing the manuscript, in a Microsoft Word document and trying to look beyond the boundaries of the Gambia, trying to contact publishers outside the Gambia, like Nigeria. I wrote this place. Could you look at it? Help me correct it. I was not even looking forward to publishing the book. I was more into correcting the grammar, this and that. So I got myself that diamond, that gold nugget of seeing publishers outside who were quite interested in the work and wanting to publish it. So that was where my career began in terms of writing. Yeah, and not just not having enough publishing houses and editors and proofreaders, but one could also say the expertise, the capacity, facilities. A lot of things are missing in this country up to date as I speak to you. So you could imagine what younger writers are going through, so it's just very difficult. But alhamdulillah, I see Gambian literature as Gambian music, in the sense that what we share in common is that time passed when I was going to school. When you turn on the radio and you hear the voice of any Gambian musician, you are in a haste to turn it off or tune into something else, But today they're filling the stadiums, alhamdulillah. Today they're doing great things. So we are also going through that evolution, that pressure, that change and everything. So with time and with the support of people like you, Sam, our beautiful sister, our listeners out there, I'm sure we can definitely push this thing.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. So there is really, really a connection here to my inspiration of writing, to your story. It reminds me, because myself, I was it was just, yours was 14 years old, but mine was 20, almost 30. Yeah, but close to 30. No, actually I take that back, but 25, yes. I was I didn't know. I studied IT, and of course did my bachelor's, and that's when I started to get interested in music, in poetry and music, and hip hop and other artists that are lyrically sound, poetically sounding and interesting. And then I also in my relate to my younger days when my grandmom used to sit us down and tell us stories, Surunin sang, stories and all of those things. So, make up stories. I mean, we would be so keenly interested in it, and saying that we have to wait for that. Once we had dinner, we sit on our bento, and then we just waiting for grandma to come up with something, that would make us go to sleep. And sometimes we would even dream about them. So, so having to come with that And one day I just happened to write, a birthday wish for somebody, and it sounds so poetic. And then the whole at my job at the district attorney's office, the whole department started to say, "Wow, look at what Momodou wrote. Wow, you should be going into poetry. You should be going into this." So I started to feel, man, the powers of words. And I said to myself, you know what? Let me start, emulating this. Let me try to take this to another level. Like I started writing, and then the next thing you know, even the people that were like doing some singing hip hop this thing around me, they started seeing my poetry and stuff like that, and started saying, man, this could be turned to a song. This could be then I started like expressing my thoughts. I usually was writing about love stories and stuff like that. Then I started to realize, wow, this area is something that it is coming naturally. And to me, that started it for me. And I started exploiting storytelling and giving speeches about stories. Then I said to myself, wow, I can develop on this. My first book took me 5 years actually. The Dangerous Love, because I wrote it up to 50 page, and I waited a couple of weeks and I started reading it. It sounds so garbage to me, and I throw everything in the garbage. That's one thing that writers should know. I mean, like if you want to criticize stuff like that, you will never write anything. I think like what I learned from that is once you started writing, don't even go back to try to like read how it sounds, because you might be criticizing yourself. So what I end up doing, and when I did some research, is that let me just focus on the idea first and try to get it to flow. Then I can come back, if I had to tweak anything. So that works out for me. 2009, I was able to produce Dangerous Love. But it's also and my surrounding. I was when I was in Badibo, we were derived from my village is very conservative. We were derived from going to school. Most of my colleagues never went to school. They never had the opportunity because the village was conservative, and they don't even think going to school is good. They think that's paganism ideology. That's not Islamic. Going to English school. So I took that story as a deriving moment from a lot of women, especially women in guys, not having the opportunity to be lucky as like me. My dad was really reluctant to that ideologies and say my kids will go. I think we were only two compounds that were that had their kids going to school at that time. We even used to be teased and thrown, kind of like being called all kind of names. We don't even. So I couldn't even walk into some places because they think like we are we don't have the dean because of that. So with that, I created a character of a woman who was actually derived from education and want to learn, and then because of that, he was forced into arranged marriages by the uncle and the mom. So in order to marry to somebody who was politically rich, just to make sure that they make ends meet. So that story, was what sparked me to write Dangerous Love, where the girl has to choose between love marriage or arranged marriage. So everything you can create by your environment. I created this character by looking at sisters in those days who were derived from not going to school, and even some guys, because like I said, also our village was Swarekunda Misra. I mean, you did not to those days, like if you don't read the Quran and you don't verse in it, and you want to be like going to English school, it's kind of like a crime, kind of thing. They had this just that's how they look at it. So that sparks me. That touched my life, and it didn't affect me, but I wrote on the behalf of others it affected to bring the book out. And I created in a way that it is a female, character called Mariama, um, who was derived from education and yet used to go forced into arranged marriage at the age of 15. God knows how did idea develop to such a successful story, and then to the point that most people really wanted to read about it. But I just want to connect that to your book, just to give the our viewers like an addition to this discussion, so that they can know where they can develop their stories if they want to write. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my namesake. You've definitely connected the two dots together, and I really believe that this really makes sense. Storytelling has held quite a significant position in Africa. So much so that one could ascertain the fact that storytelling was like the media in those days. Like for example, we have your new Gambian media today, other media houses where like if somebody does something, whether you work with the government or somewhere else, once it is posted there, wow, it becomes something different. Everybody gets to be scared. You don't even want them to post something bad about you. So that's the power of the media today. Now let's go back to traditional Africa, like ancient African society. The griots, the storytellers, they told stories, and they even advised the kings and queens. Like if the king wants to do something, the storyteller will come and serve as an advisor. And sometimes they also try to make sure that they hold our leaders accountable. For example, if there is a wicked king that is doing something, the storytellers will gather people around, maybe around the bonfire, and then start telling them a story that there is a king, or there was a king far, far away from here. So meaning they are even making so that the story doesn't the setting of this story is not in your own village. It's not now Swarekunda or Sam's place. Sisekunda, I don't know what, but so they want to take this story somewhere far away, far, far away from here. What happened? There was a king. What happened to the king? What is he doing? Maybe the king is always killing people, or he was doing this and that, and one day and he was caught. So the storyteller is very powerful. So when the news spread around the village and the king happens to hear that, obviously he knows that this is me, even if your name is not mentioned.
Exactly.
So that was traditional African society. So they were very careful of that. So I read your book. It's one of the best stories I could read about Gambia, especially girl child education, having spoke about early marriage and odd things. It's beautiful. I love literature. Storytelling, in fact, is everything that we should be proud of, Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Modou, I never thought I never ever think of you wrote a book. So I would like to read your book as well, and even Emma. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. For us, we are not in that area, the writing and the reading. We are always on the fast move. But I just want to come in. I'm just proud of you, Emil. I'm proud of you, Sawaneh. I'm really happy to see these things is happening in Gambia, and Gambians are doing this, and people need to know what is happening. And this is the challenging side, where people are not exploring much on that area, and you are trying to venture yourself in there. It's really difficult. And what you're saying, like storytelling, and even before, when we are doing our primary school time, we do encourage that in our curriculum, writing letters. But I don't think still now that is happening in the primary school, because now the models that they're using when it comes to the educational system, I don't understand. Yeah, but those are things also need to be included, so that it should not be fading away from the system. Before, many young girls can write, because the way it is structured in our school system. Now, yes, it's true that the world is moving, people are moving in a different direction when it comes to technology, when it comes to certain part. But this one, literature is very, very important. That's why my father always tell me, watch movies, they're literature. They teach you how to speak, they teach you some words, and also reading is very important. So for me, I'm very proud of what you do, and you will get our support, myself, and I will try to buy your book and read it, and then give a feedback. I will channel it through Mr. Sawaneh to see what I've read through your book, and I'm very impressed. But I know it will be challenging. In Gambia, whatever you do and people are not venturing into it, it's challenging, 100%. That one, there's no need. They might say big things, yeah, come that. when it comes to money side, when it comes to even offering their intellectual side, expertise is always challenging. So my question will be, what I know, okay, that inspired you through your story, what you have said. Okay, what else also will motivate you now to write? Because I feel like, okay, our civic education, that's why this platform is very important for Gambians to be listening. And I'm seeing the page is growing every day because people are now understanding civic education, how important it is in our society. So what will motivate you in your next writing? What do you think? What are the areas that you think Gambian people need to read that and understand? And what are also some of the languages that you use in your writing, whether you sometimes you use the Manika side for people to also to understand, just to, like they say, just buzz it inside, or it's strictly that you are not changing anything, only in English. Just want to know.
Thank you very much, sister, for this very wonderful take and contribution. I think you've spoken the whole truth entirely, especially from where you landed, you know. And I am quite excited that you will be supporting my my career or my work, including Momodou and all other young writers who don't even have the opportunity to be here. Let me proudly tell you, we have over 400 young writers in this country right now as I speak to you, you know, so there are thousands of people out there doing even more than what I'm doing, better than me. I wish I was in the
position. I can attest to that. Yeah. One lady called Dija Jallo. I know her very well.
Exactly.
She's also part of the Young Writers Association when I was in the UTT. I can really remember that.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, they are all doing very, very well. I wish I were in a position to help all of them, but from my intellectual zest and capacity, I've been doing my part to assist all of them. So let me come to your question and where you landed, whether I use other languages in my writing. Those are our indigenous languages, or can I call them national languages of the Gambia? Yes, multilingualism, according to me, is speaking in different tongues of the gods in order to understand other gods. It is the art of speaking many languages to be human for the sake of understanding humanity. You can spell any word that has to make sense to humanity without including their culture and language. You know, so often when I write, the ability to touch another human being through my work as a writer is divine. It is the divine inspiration to transmogrify the human mind into humanity, to write what is wrong and to teach what is morally right with great aplomb. So the language of knowledge is wisdom. I am always infatuated by the speed of logic, the storytelling of Chinua Achebe, the writings of American Paul Beatty and Nigerian Femi Osofisant, and the out of this world literally versatility of Chinua Achebe and William Shakespeare. So I write stories I like to read, but the English language has greatly influenced my writings because I wrote all my works in English language. So the proper study of human beings is books. If you want to study people, read books. So culture is a virtue that must be championed by all societies, including generations yet unborn. So the language of humanity is human. Therefore, each writer should integrate local language or languages into their English-based writings to preserve their own cultures. A professor of English literature at the University of Maiduguri she is the first Nigerian woman or novelist from the northern part of the country. Professor Zainab Alkali has said that creative writers should use their skills and talents to guide the country on the path of sanity by upholding existing moral values. So as a creative writer, I integrate, meaning I include our local languages into my English-based writings in order to uphold our moral values and preserve the beautiful Gambian culture. Because whether you bite or to be bitten, we all have teeth. So my writings are lucid. They are opaque and philosophically, yet fictionally distinctive, informative, and imaginative. I write to speak the language of different voices in my head, the invisible, the oppressed, the voiceless, the unemployed, the poor, the rich, the powerful, the women, the children, the mentally ill. We are in an era of mental digital shift. in an information-saturated world. So the role of realist literature is to tell the truth in a lie, a very beautiful one. Some people read me the wrong way, but I write in order for people to understand that nothing is better than reading oneself. In fact, Chinua Achebe said, if the animals fail to write their own history, then therefore history will always glorify the hunter. Very true. So it means if we ourselves, we refuse to write about our own culture, our own people, we will forget our history. There wouldn't be any accurate history. That is why, as we speak, my very beautiful sister, there is not a single book written by any Gambian writer about Kunta Kinte. Why? Kunta Kinte is from Jufre. He is one of the most historical-oriented Gambians as far as history is concerned, but no book has been written about Kunta Kinte. So it means that we've been writing a lot of things, but nobody thought of writing about Kunta Kinte. Nobody thought of going to Juvre or Albrella to make a research about him and write a book. It was Alex Haley in America, Black African American, who have to come to Gambia, write the book, turn it into a film, and we get to know about Kunta Kinte. Let's just assume that has not happened. It means we have forgotten about Kunta Kinte. It wouldn't have been in our history.
Yes.
We will have heard that from somewhere. Okay, I'm not Kutudan Kunta Kinte. Gambian I'm joking.
Yeah.
So we will have
That's
heard
very true.
from
That's very
somewhere,
true.
you know.
Yeah.
So this is why people like Modou Sawaneh, I admire him. Not just he writes books, but also he tries to use the Mandinka version, Wolof. I do the same thing in my writings. In fact,
And
the book
that's
that
the question I was asking, sir. Why some to write in Mandinka and Wolof? It's interesting for people to go into it.
Fantastic. The book that I'll be launching very soon on the 11th of May is written in English, but also there are versions of poems in Mandinka, in Wolof, in Fula. You know, I inculcate those things there. You know, the book consists of only 26 poems, you know. Yeah, since we are yet to talk about the book and the upcoming program, so that's why I haven't delved into that area, but I'm just kind of staying on the lane, the same margin to answer your question. But I could see that you've picked up the nuances from my answer, having spoken my mind in terms of writing in our local languages.
Right. So I will let Sam come in, but before Sam come in, I just want to add to my sister's point here. As far as coming to local languages, yes. For me, I have on the pipeline, I have a self-help, self-help tips that I'm creating, in terms of a small book, but it's a pocket guide, self-help, things that could help you. Every day you get up, you can get motivated, and then you can look at these things, and then they can keep you going. I'm targeting key things that help people to build up their confidence, to clear their mind, to become more like, receptive to the changing world and to the challenges happening every day. Because sometimes we get up from the bed, we don't know where we are. Frustration, family issue, money issue, relationship issue, and all of this are on top of children. How can you go above the fray to become a conqueror, to survive with these things and still have a state of mind? Because if you lose it, you leave your mind, you lose everything. You can lose even certain part of your body, but the mind, you lose that, you lose everything. That's the
But Sawaneh, you can also add what is really disturbing, not only Africa, but in particular in Gambia, why many people are growing up. What is caging us to be corrupt? And is it starting from homes or is starting from our workplace? These are very important issues that you can write about, and people are interested to read it. And it has to take, I know it would take lots of research. Why people, is it we inherit corruption or we inherit bad behaviors? Oh, because I know it started from homes. Why we are corrupt? Why we are why we have two bad politicians? I think this is affecting the society. And I would love to see that kind of book. And I would really love to. Maybe I will be the first buyer.
I might be on the way to become the next wanted man, if not, because this is an area that is in the plans. For me, I don't know about Momodou, but for me, since I just completed my doctorate, I want to approach that in a research format, because I want to come with a realistic data, about our leadership, you know, because my area was leadership, my concentration about, you know, all these leadership hurdles, because Africa, there's a big question that you said, not only corrupt, but how are we fail? How are we fail in leadership? This is one of the target that I wanna, you know, do research across Africa, not only Gambia.
Good point.
So it is one thing that, you know, you guys can look up for, because that I took up on myself to look at different data, and then to look at anything possible with interviewing different leaders to come up with statistical, you know, information, factual, to see the cause why Africa is where we are. So that is something that, you know, in my lifetime I want to get accomplished, because I feel like it's a negated area. This has nothing to do with fiction. This is realistic findings. And then, you know, probably people can use it. Probably people can, you know, can turn blind eye on it, but the information, inshallah, would be given, and then perhaps, you know, that would address some of this corruption issue. But I will also task Momodou. As a fictional writer, he writes more than me, because, you know, like I said, you know, I'm doing my hands in a lot of different things, you know, so I don't have as much concentration as he, but I'm urging him, or I'm just asking him to unveil those areas that you're talking about in literature format, while without mentioning names, without because the good beauty of literature is you can say things without mentioning names. When I wrote my first book, I was talking about Jawara's administration, Jammeh's administration. Nobody will arrest me, because the way I spoke about it is a fictional one. I created these ministers that never existed. I created this thing. Who is gonna tie my hand behind my back? Because it's fiction, you are protected. You know, if if Sam takes it, it's good luck for you. So that's the beauty of fiction. I think Momodou has that potential to do. But yeah, you can pass it to Sam.
Well, I'm speechless now.
I know, Sam,
You know?
you have a whole area that you conquered. So I know this is a learning thing for you, but go ahead, yeah.
Yes. You guys have said a whole lot of stuff that really inspired me, and I want to thank ML as well for really being on this show. And even though we haven't got into his book and all that stuff, we're talking about it. That's how exciting this is.
Yeah. We're gonna have a moment that he's gonna talk about his book, and then
Mrs. Boach brought some very, very good points and very good questions as well. And with your own elaboration on what you did, Mr. Sawaneh, is it's all amazing. It's really all amazing, and I think it's very inspirational. It's good for people to know all of this, and especially our young writers that write, and even people like me that don't write. I talk more than writing, so you know, even people like me, it's like very inspirational. I feel like I wish I could sit down and, you know, put something together and write, but I write little proposals, you know, little things, you know, but like what I speak about in my group, in my forum, I made proposals for, you know, for a comprehensive civil service reform for Gambia, you know, how that's going to work and things like that, and how to, you know, stop corruption in the Gambia. And I wrote little things like that in my own notes, but not a book. So because I feel like I don't have time for a book, but really you guys are very inspirational. So I want to thank you for it, and definitely keep doing it and keep encouraging people, because when you write books, definitely people will read it. And ML, when your book comes out, I'd like to get a copy as well. And I'd like to buy a copy and read it as well. So these are all things that are going to go back to the basics, and it's going to encourage our whole country to go back to, you know, the basics, you know, going back to school and incorporating all of these ideas into literature, so that our people can use this and prepare our children to be future leaders and future writers as well, and bring writing and literature into 21st century. So I think you guys are doing a great job. Definitely, I'll encourage you to continue to do it. You know, I will support anyhow I can, even if I have to, since I am more of a talker than anything, even if I have to stand up and talk and give a speech about you and your book or whatever you need from me, I will definitely be able to do things like that. So, but I'm gonna, because I'm very inquisitive to hear more about what your book is about and what you're going to talk about. So I want to stop here and allow you to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. So Momodou, you can go ahead and tell us Africa, the only thing, the pronunciation seems the same. You say Africa, not African. You can tell us what you mean by that and what the book is about, and your book luncheon, so our viewers can really, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Momodou. And let me also thank Sam for the very kind words, Absolutely. He's an amazing guy, and I like his decorum. Absolutely great. And he is the man. So, Sam, you're the man.
No, okay, you are the man.
Sam is a Superman.
Just Sam is a chapter. He likes eating, so he's this foodie type, So my Africa with K, I deliberately, it's not mistaken, deliberately, I use the word K, Africa, not Africa with the C, is because the book was inspired by my travel across Africa to 15 different countries. So when I left the Gambia, I started, journeying across Africa. I came across beautiful people, cultures, traditions, religion. It's like we are all same people, same Black African continent, separated by countries and boundaries and languages and colonial differences. But we are one people, one family. So I noticed these similarities and this diverse culture of multilingualism, this beautiful mindset and discovery. Like when I was in the Gambia going to school, I read about Songhai Empire, Mali Empire, Ghana Empire. I've never been there. So when I visited Timbuktu in Mali, I went to the library. I went to the mosque in Timbuktu. I went to Gao. Can you imagine, in Mali? I went to Hamdallah,
I think we lost him, right?
Bamako, capital of Mali, Bamako, in Hamdallah.
You are muted.
Visualize, was it here? Was it in these things real life? I knew that for centuries, a great empire must have existed there. And when I visited Niamey, Niger, same thing. I knew the origin of the Fulbe culture and language. People tend to say it's Guinea. The origin of Fulas is Guinea. But when you go to Niger, you understand that's the origin of Black African knowledge, traditional knowledge itself, So a lot of beautiful things happen around. When I was in Nigeria too, the Sokoto Caliphate, So I came across all these things. I feel like, no, we have been insulted for so long. And to sum up these very beautiful thoughts about Africa, when I was in Johannesburg and Pretoria in South Africa, I realized that the language of the Xhosa, the Zulu people, is Afrikaner. Kana, and you use the K when spelling it, Afrikaner. I realized that the dream of Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Jomo Kenyatta, and all these great Pan-Africanists, Thomas Sankara, their dream is the Africa with the K. That represents the African people, African tradition, African languages. That is who we are. If I should be able to travel to Nigeria with my passport written in African languages. Why is it that somebody from Gambia cannot go to Ethiopia? You need a visa, the same continent. Why don't we have direct flights within Africa, but we have to use connected flights? So there are a lot of situations and issues that I feel like is insulting to us. So which is why I deliberately use the word K, Africa, trying to remind ourselves that we need to go back to what our forefathers have left here for us. For example, in history books in the Gambia will tell you it was Mungo Park that discovered the River Nile. Even before Mungo Park was born, the River Nile was here, my brother. Let's be honest. Yeah. Some am I not speaking in your language, You
are absolutely right.
why would somebody from nowhere come and tell us, no, is the person who discovered River Nile.
Just like Christopher Columbus. I mean, discover America. I mean, America has been around.
Yes.
But, they said he's the one who discovered it. So they try to give credit to these individuals. Yeah, but go ahead.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true, my honorable brother Momodou. You see, so these are some of the things I felt like we need to revisit. So in that sense, the book is a collection of 26 poems, only 26 poems that promotes Pan-Africanism in what Professor Plo Lulumba calls Africa, which belongs to the Africans.
Yeah, that's why I want to come. Sorry, that's why I want to come, because I listen to Patrick Lumumba every time. Professor, I always listen to him. So I can see the connection that you're trying to say. It's very interesting, and I love it.
Thank you, sister. You know, you are now turned into a Pan-Africanist Gambian advocate.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. I'm a Pan-African. Trust me, I like to promote Africa. Wherever I go, I will fight for this. I give people with this. Yes. I know where I belong to. I belong to Africa. And I'll always belong to Africa.
That's nice, sister. That's what we are, who we are. So we should be proud of our identity. Because when I visited the African Union, I started volunteering with
maybe a signal issue here.
Yeah.
Them. That was in fact fully to write. While at the African Union, I realized of the African Union for the whole continent. So they gave me the opportunity to present my poem, Africa, Not Africa, just the poem before I started developing it into a book, because I wrote the poem, a piece of poem about Africa, Not Africa. So I read the poem in front of the head of states at the African Union at the launch of the African Languages Week. Can we imagine? We have an African Languages Week, a whole week that is dedicated to only African languages, nothing else. So while there, I told the AU in my poem that we have so many languages in Africa. So when you adopt Kiswahili as the official language, it's absolutely amazing. That is fantastic and good. But Africa is divided into 6 regions. Precisely is 5, but the diaspora made it 6. Not west like that. So like, if you come to West Africa, maybe there could be a particular language that is more dominant here, like Wolof, Yoruba, or Hausa, maybe is dominant in West Africa. You go to North Africa, maybe Arabic is dominant. You go to Central Africa, maybe Sango or Douala is what is spoken there. So maybe they needed to identify each peculiar language in each of these regions and make them official. Like in South Africa, we have 11 national languages. It means that all their national languages are official. They don't have to pick Mandinka over Wolof, for example. I'm just giving that as an example. But in the Gambia, so sad, Sam, let me disappoint you and Momodou and my sister Ndeysan. We don't even have a national language policy. Nothing, not in existence.
I think that's a failure of our leadership, especially after independence. Because I asked the same thing. Even Senegal, this is why Senegal tribalism is minimal there, because they have one language that everybody would be obliged to speak. Yeah. So I was just discussing this after Jomai Faye won the election with a couple of people, and then people have started to see our problem. But thank you for bringing that up. I just want to support that. And my sister can agree with me on that. And Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Momodou. My sister and Sam, feel free to interject. Feel free to speak your thought, even when I'm talking, you know. This is a sensitive topic, you know. As we speak, we all have a lot of beautiful ideas and things to share, you know. Yeah, which is cross-cutting, because just like Momodou have said, in Senegal, for example, even at their National Assembly, they adopted Wolof, you know. This is not a story I'm saying online. You all visited the place.
This is true.
They even speak Wolof in their National Assembly. Why will somebody be confronted for speaking Mandinka at the National Assembly of the Gambia? That is her language. Let us be blunt. You see, our colonial masters have chained us on the neck here by forcefully imposing their languages on us. They know that if they impose their languages on us, obviously we will forget our cultures and tradition, and we will adopt their lifestyle. In that way, we will not develop. If you go to China, they speak Chinese. You go to India, they speak Indian. You know, why you come to Gambia, they speak English. Why? speaking American, right? So the
Yeah,
language should be on the forefront.
Emma, this is making me, I don't know, it's making me hot or it's making me get angry or what? Yes.
But that's the fact, my sister. I mean, this is
this is the painful truth that this is why Gambia, now I see the point, why Gambia, we hate each other. Because there is no one language that everybody will stick to it. For instance, in history, we all agree that Mandinka, some of us know they are not the founders. Because we have a platform called the Chimba in TikTok. We always talk about what is exactly the benefit of Gambia and how it should be way forward. Just like a civic education platform or something like that. So we always have this like, okay, most of the people were thinking that, okay, say Manikas are tribalists, Wolofs are tribalists, this are this, that. And it's true, this is what is happening in Gambia. The Wolof are looking low upon Wolof because they are not speaking in the same language. They are not in the same line. So everybody thinks you are superior. So if this happened in a country, everybody thinks that I'm superior, then there is no understanding. And this happened through our colonial. During our colonial time, they are not agreeing in something because now I even said hatred. I think Gambia, they inherit hatred from our colonials. We inherit that. We inherit that. We inherit it because I don't understand. Gambia cannot come together to be like a team. Even outside here, to join together to be a team, it's a big challenge for us. Why? I always ask the question: why can't we be as a team to be nice? Even sometimes, sorry, it's a bit shifting from the topic, but sometimes if you ask, if you come to a place, like I'm relocated from US to Denmark now, what they will be saying is, be careful of Gambians, be careful of Gambians, and you're a Gambian. I don't understand this. I said, you are telling me I'm a Gambian and I should be careful of a Gambian. Yeah, be careful of a Gambian. And a Gambian will tell you that, be careful of a Gambian. And you're a Gambian, and all of you are a Gambian. I couldn't just get that.
Yeah.
I just cannot get that. So this is very important. And people will not be interested to be listening even your book or be reading. Gambian, they don't care about these things. They don't. And it's very sad.
Yeah, my sister, I just want to tell you, we might bring colonial masters, but when they left, the people who took over, they should be solely responsible because they're supposed to be blunt and say, we are making one international language. I mean, either people like it or not, this is what is going to be international across, and it has to be respected. That would have cut off the division and the tribalism in the Gambia. And then secondly, we also lack Caliph generals. In the Gambia, we don't have respectable person that we follow. If you look at Senegal, they have Caliph general. When there's a chaos, when that person pick up his hand and say, stop, everybody stop. Gambia, Mobe feel free. Nobody cares. Little kids, and nobody respect nothing. So this is why we are close to being finished. And then this is the reality. Two things. We don't have that lineage of elderly. It doesn't have to be a president, but it has to be in this Caliph general thing. We don't have it, and we don't have one language that we all say this one. Everybody will speak across the board, anywhere it is, and make English as just like an adjacent, a parallel one. If we did that, unity will happen. But now everybody
has to start with our educational system. Even patriotism, they have to put it in the syllabus, how to be patriotic, how to be a Gambian, and how you should act like a Gambian. We need to have where we belong to. So, Mr. Sawaneh, it's really sad, trust me. For me, I feel very angry, not angry. I don't know whether to explore or what, because I cannot just understand. And it's there in Gambia, it's too much embedded in us. Trust me.
Thank you. let's if Sam don't have anything to say, let him continue, because again, we don't want to interject, but when things like this happens, Momodou, we just like to add what you said, and then I hope that's not an issue.
Yeah, I totally agree with him. In the National Assembly, I don't understand why they can't just speak our own language and let them speak our own language, because that's what happens in Senegal. He's honestly right. He's definitely right. It happens in Senegal. In fact, it'll be even more comfortable for people to speak their own language than to speak English, because there are some in the National Assembly that can't even speak a good English. They can't even speak good English. So why don't you speak your own language and be comfortable with that way? You can say everything you want to say without having to worry about making a mistake here or an error here or mispronouncing things. And just use your own language. Just that simple. I agree. So I'll let him continue. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you, Sam. Momodou, go ahead. I mean, sorry for the interruption, but we just wanna add it to spice up your discussion. Yeah.
Thank you very much, my very passionate sister and our able brother, the Chopsa, the foodie, Sam, and Momodou. You're all very, very correct. Let me describe how correct you are. You are dangerously right. If that's an English word, dangerously correct. So this is something very true. I could see the passion in all of you, especially when I mentioned this, because the fact is blunt. So we have to say it bluntly. Now, this reminds me in terms of why the African Union chose Burkina Faso and Tanzania as one of the countries where the African Languages Week will be hosted. It's because they have a minister for national languages. Sam, I'm coming to your point. My sister, can you see this? They have a minister. What am I saying? A minister that is responsible for what? National languages. Those are serious countries that want to develop. You understand? So, but in the Gambia, it's very, very sad that even if a child speaks vernacular in class, you are being beaten or punished. So in Tanzania, it's different. Kiswahili is seriously adopted there. Burkina Faso, they have a minister responsible for national languages. So my sister also mentioned an educational problem system. I accept with you because from post-independence, the system of education that's been in existence in Africa focused on book knowledge. We print our textbooks from abroad and send them here for us to come and learn them. Like if the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education wants to benefit from the education program, they have to subscribe to the MDG, SDGs, they have to subscribe to World Bank activities and projects before they can pump them money for them to implement those things here. And then that's the system of education that is tailored down into our country and ministries and curriculum. It needs to change. We need to start thinking about how to develop our African mindsets and the ideals of Africanism and promote those vibrancy and development rather than testing us in examinations on how to draw paramecium, how to draw amoeba, and how to some way, something.
When I was in grade 12,
I remember amoeba. I remember amoeba, which I have never even seen in my
exactly.
But anyway,
amoeba and grasshopper and this thing, cockroach. How can I draw that? I said, I have to do this.
And what benefit does it have for us, Yeah.
So those things should change, my honorable brothers and my beautiful sister. We need to change that. Let's begin to look at our curriculum. Let's filter it down with something that is vividly comprehensive and within the reach of our nation. Other African nations are doing it, so we can do it. South Africa is doing it. Tanzania is doing it. Kenya, the same thing. Even Senegal is doing it. Senegal, you will not go to any
we lost him there.
Senegal, and you come across any Gambian literature book there. They are not even.
You've cut out.
So they're using Senegalese rhymes because they. Yeah, I hope I am back.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
So I cited an example of Senegal. I said you will not go there and see any foreign book, in their education curriculum, for example. They try to make sure that Senegalese writers' books and Senegalese culture, something within their reach that their children can understand and read and adopt, is inculcated into their curriculum. That is just Senegal. I have never come across any Gambian writer's book in the school, not as I thought of or knew. If you know any, maybe you tell me, but for me, I don't know. Nigeria, the same thing. Like you can be a professor from UK, be William Shakespeare, no problem. Go to Nigeria. They know the type of books they're going to put in their curriculum. They know what they're going to learn. You understand? So you cannot impose your own culture or language there. There are a lot of professors and intellectuals there. So they wouldn't just sleep over this issue. They make sure that these things are well handled at their National Assembly. So you could see what I'm talking about, touching different angles. All these things serve as an inspiration for me to write the book, Africa, not Africa. You know, and I made sure that the title of the book takes its name from Africana. I think I said that so the language and the culture of the Black people. What is Africana? Africana means the language and what the culture of the Black people. Addresses current happenings in Africa, from wars, hatred, poverty, you name it. You know, it addresses everything in as much as I am concerned, because Africa has been labeled as the continent and disease and poverty. Anything better is Africa. when God knows that there are beautiful everything, resources, beautiful places, amazing areas in Africa that are so unique and distinctive that will never be shown live on media or TV. You know what I mean? So the only thing they try to show is like, I sat down and asked myself, why are we pumping billions of money to celebrate World Malaria Day? You know, when we can celebrate World Poverty Day and end poverty, everybody to be rich, if we are serious about the SDGs, if we are serious that nobody should be poor, everybody should have access to job and this and that. The world is just 7 billion people. Why can't we use that money and make sure that we end poverty in just 1 year? It can happen. The money is there. You know, but they want to spend these millions on World Malaria Day to insult us, to show us that malaria is from Africa, you know, and it's a killer disease, you know, it's something that is found here. So we need to think beyond or outside our thinking horizon to ensure that we adopt what belongs to us and we take full ownership.
I wish our leaders are hearing you, because they are the one who make those decisions for us, those terrible decisions. I wish our leaders, just look at Senegal recently. Usman Sonko is a Pan-Africanist. Look how he is transforming that place right now. Just within few weeks, their agriculture now bringing lots of things. Just to, like they say, nyambas things with that to make it inspire. But look at that. Just look at what they're doing. He believes in Pan-Africanism. He believes that Gambia, he believes that Africa and Senegal, his country, can do it. They can.
Absolutely true, sister. You're very right in that area, and that is how it should be. Every leader should think like that. You know, for example, if you study Thomas Sankara very, very well, his country had a debt, you know, a huge amount of money that they were owing. So they wanted to give him additional debt of money. You know what he told them? That he's not interested. Do you know Thomas Sankara was the first human being on earth to say, eat what you grow what you eat? He came up with that philosophy. He cut the salary of all ministers. The same car he entered, the same car his ministers will enter. They all drove the same Mercedes-Benz, like not expensive cars. They live according to their means. These are honest people. It's not me who is saying they are honest. The white people themselves, in a documentary, they call Thomas Sankara the upright man, upright, honest, because they knew that was him. But today, it's the opposite, paradoxically speaking, sacrilegiously, if that's an English word, we can add it to the dictionary. This is what is happening, you know? So we see our leaders fail us woefully, and we are not also holding them accountable, because, you know, all these things should start from the grassroots level. If you have cited Senegal, you know, Senegal, when they realize what is happening.
So Mohammed,
because I've lived in almost places that are francophone. Yes.
Yes, I just have a question for you. You have both spoken. You have really hit out a lot of points here that has to do with leadership, and that has to do with, you know, living according to our means. So why is that Gambian literature is not tailored towards this, having to go through, you know, Jammeh's regime? I mean, and now that we have democracy, we have freedom, you know, there's nobody getting, kidnapped or, you know, you know, tortured and all of those things. Why can't Gambian literature, especially you guys who are in the forefront of literature, seeing what is happening in the country, why is people not writing about these things and exposing these things?
Thank you very much, my honorable brother Momodou, for this very important question. Straight answer. There is a problem of mindset of the people. It needs to change. We need to change our mindsets, and we need to take ownership of this. Gambian writers are not writing these things because their mindsets are limited within the four corners of the country. So that's why traveling is important. I gave this story when as a storyteller, I tell stories that if the frog is inside the water, the frog thinks that the world ends in the water. Like all the frog sees is the water, it is inside. But if it jumps outside and see the sky, the frog is wondering, wow, so if you're in the Gambia as a Gambian writer, you begin to write about things that are just minor and make bigger. Thinking outside is because maybe you have not.
You muted somehow.
You might not have the opportunity to read about other countries. So when you read good books about other countries and places, it is as if you've been there. So those books will expose you into those beautiful stories and cultures and tradition that you can also reflect in your own writing. So Gambian writers who don't have this opportunity to read good books that will expose them to other cultures and other places so they can also include that in their writing, it's a problem. I think all Gambian writers should begin to think that way, you know. So if they also had the chance to physically move outside and travel, it's good. You know, if you don't travel, you read.
So
if you read,
in other words, you think they don't know these things are happening?
Not like they don't know, but their exposure to knowing these things is very meager and minimal, very little. You know, they have little knowledge or exposure of some of these things. Besides what they will hear in the media, you know, there is difference between facts and opinion. It's not like it's their opinion to say that, okay, these things are happening, but do they conduct research about this to establish the facts? Do they go visit the places like Timbuktu where I've been? You know, some of these exposures are very important. If you can go there, you read them in books. So, and I think as Gambian writers, you know, everything has time. We should also stop writing about chicken and hen. Once upon a time, there was a hen and a goat, you know, stories like that. That time, that time obviously has passed.
Right. We are right about that. Now, are you working towards being seen that you travel a lot and then you see in Timbuktu, you see all these great places. Are you looking to really explore this and try to bring this out?
So I have tried to explore these things in my book. That's why Africa, Not Africa, like I said, is a collection of 26 poems. So these 26 poems are each of the countries I visited. I made sure that I wrote one poem about that country, Niger, Mali, Nigeria, this, that, all those countries. So it's serving as an exposure, as an awakening sort of to the African people, especially to ourselves, to make sure that we know some of these things and begin to think alongside and appreciate who we are and start making sure that we provide for ourselves. For a country like Rwanda, when they ban the importation of second-hand clothes in their country, it's because the president wanted them to manufacture their own clothes. Let them wear clothes made in Rwanda, not from another part of the world. You see that? So those are all awakening things that I think are very important. Like, for example, when countries like Mali, you can see Niger, they all left ECOWAS, you know, they made sure that they revolted against the French people to establish themselves and took ownership of what belongs to them. All those things are important because amongst the 5 or 6, 7 French African countries I visited, one thing is similar and existing in all these countries is that the French people own their telecommunication, petroleum, all those things, they own them. So it's like the leaders are just making sure that those taxes are collected and sent abroad to France. Like for example, in Niger, where I was, you know, in Niamey, it means it's very sad to realize that a country that has uranium, a country that has gold, petroleum and all those things is labeled as one of the poorest countries on earth. Why? With all those resources? No, my brother, something is wrong. So the military made a point when they took over and mentioned this and said, we cannot be poor. We are supplying 26% of uranium to the EU. They are right. Why will they be poor with something that belongs to them, belongs to the African people? So, you know, sometimes we are not going to say coup d'etat is good. Nobody should support it. I'm not supporting coup d'etat, but I'm saying those and many other things have been reasons why sometimes there has been a military takeover. It's because they watch our leaders trying to, you know, exploit our resources and sending them abroad, you know. So what will they do, you know?
All right. So I hope you do actually come up with some for Gambia, because if we can talk about other African countries, Gambia per se, a lot of cleaning in the house. If Gambian writers are not exposing that for one reason or another, then we still start doing that. That's just a word of thoughts.
Thank you, Momodou. Yes, this is very important. First thing I said, exposure. Second, research. Three, I think we need to adopt. Adaptation is also important. Like even in Islam now, people are preaching about what is happening in the society. If you go to a masjid to pray Friday prayers and the imam is telling you kila jamano mole seleta nyonkomo kang, man, that time is past, man. we're in the 24th century. What is happening is what you should preach in your Friday sermon. You understand what I'm saying? Like to tell us during the camel time when the battle happened in Badri is important to remind us, but like preach things that are happening. So I'm also saying that adaptation in writing for Gambian writers to realize that every year things change, you know. So as they change, you also change along. You adopt a writing style, try to bring in stories, poems, and things that are relating to what is happening right now. You know,
again,
those are
again, I'm saying those writings should also be geared towards political areas, leadership areas, because what I'm trying to say is that we cannot just be having all this talent, you know, talking about poetry, yes, talking about all these things, but you know, like they are not directly hitting the nail on the head. We have an issue right now. Gambia we don't have food. We don't have electricity. We don't have all these things. We are 50 years about, 50 something years behind time, as some usually put it. Why is this not on Gambian literature, forefront of Gambian literature? Why are we not hitting the nail on the head, but on the sides? That's what we need to really use our voice, musicians, our literature, writers, to try to expose what is out there, as long as it's realistic. And it's realistic. The data is there. It's not lying. And people are feeling it. If you are feeling something, if you are feeling hungry, it's real. If you are feeling poor, it's real. If you are feeling sick, it's real. So let's talk about that. And I urge you and the Writers Association and anybody to start building Gambian literature towards this area as well.
Yes, thank you very much, my honorable brother Momodou. I have actually captured everything you've said in my book, Africa, Not Africa. For example, I wrote about post-Drammeh era. In fact, in one of the poems, I said, when the color green is exiled, new political parties emerge in textile, So like, I don't mention names, but a poet like you, a writer, an intellectual, will understand what
All right.
What I'm saying, I wrote about the youth drug abuse, killing. A lot of stuff's happening right now, charity home. So I have to also make sure that this is filtered down, like you've said, not just me, but it goes down to the Young Writers Association. That is where I have a say, because the Writers Association of the Gambia, I'm also, can I say, a member. I'm considered to be there, but it's dealing more of with the elders. So I'm more of with the young people, the Young Writers Association. I have to make sure that every young person who is a member there also gets to understand this. I'm sure they are listening to us and they are learning a lot from what we're saying, from this beautiful conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope you share with them. So do we have any other areas, or do you have any other areas to talk about before we wrap it up? Because I know we are 1 hour, we are over the hour, and Sam and my sister here would probably have some questions before we wrap up. But definitely, your book is really promising. I mean, your poetry. Yeah, I mean, the way you even quoted some of it actually make me curious to listen, so I can make sense of what you are trying to say. Yeah, but this is beautiful.
Thank you very much, Momodou. I really appreciate. I'm rushed to a meeting at the tropics, so they are there. The organizing committee in the network might be fluctuating. But in the meantime, I don't really have another area to elaborate on. Maybe if you have questions, you could possibly post them, especially Sam, our smart brother, is listening. He must have had a couple of questions written down already for me. And our sister also, you know, our Pan-African sister. She's a very, very good sister. And I know what she says is very important. And I believe that listeners will take ownership of what she has said, especially her suggestions. These are things we should proudly do and talk about.
One more thing before Sam's coming. I know, we have a lot of eloquent figures who like to talk. It's good to be a Pan-African. It's good to, be saying all those great things about Africa. We have seen Jamaicans and other great singers did do that. They did that, but never even stepped in the soil of Africa. So my point here is that talking alone is not the solution. We have to walk the walk. I mean, we can do the talking, but walking the walk. Yeah, I love Dr. Lumumba. Standing in front of millions mic and talking is beautiful. The words are great, but listen, we cannot just take that for a ride. Just because you are eloquent, you are good. You're a good writer. You can say things, and nobody is implementing it. So it cannot sit there. So the point, what I'm trying to say is that it's about time we do less talking and do more of implementation, do more of the work. Because that's what makes China, China. That's what makes United States. That's what makes all these developed nations. Because the action is done behind the scene. And we are not seeing that. The only places we see, Ghana, of course, Rwanda, Kenya, and maybe South Africa. But other countries are struggling. So Africans, we need to talk less and started doing more, because all this beautiful work and Pan-Africanism, I like it. I like the ideology, but it's still realistic. Is it implementing? Are we really, doing the work? Are we really working the work? So this is one area that I think our folks who are orators, who are writers and so forth, need to also make sure that we push that end as well. But I will let Sam to come in, and my sister.
Thank you, Mr. Sawaneh, for that as well, and of course, Mrs. Moach, for all your comments and questions. And ML, I just want to say, knowing that you're rushing to a meeting and all that, I don't want to take up too much time. And so I want to say I really appreciate you very much, and with all the hard work that you put into this book, very important, very, very important. And I think a lot of people are going to buy the book and read it. Including myself. Like I said, I'd like to get a copy of the book. One thing before you go, I'd like for you to say, since this is a talk show where a lot of people will be listening to this or watching this after we've finished. So if you would also tell people how to get a copy of your book, I think it's very important. That way people will know where to go and what to look for and all of that. Give a little bit of details as to how can people purchase a copy of your book.
Thank you very much, Sam. This is a very important question. That was where I was going to land, but thank you for taking me there. And I am inspired to do even more with your kind words with Momodou. You guys are intellectuals, and our sister as well. Thank you for all your support. I'll be looking forward to seeing you grab a copy at least to get to read this thing. My book is available on and offline. Online, you can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, all the stores. It's available online everywhere. You can just search for African, not Africa, and then you place your orders. Anywhere you are living in the world, you can absolutely grab your copy of the book. You know, I just wanted to finish by saying that my book launch is scheduled on the 11th of May. It's going to be on Saturday after the OIC and all those activities. So it will be held at the Sadada Karaba Jawara Conference Center, commonly called the OIC Conference Center, where I choose to launch the book. It's not just a book launch. Anytime I'm launching a book, I try by all means to include all the creative industry stakeholders in the Gambia: music, drama, poetry, painting, singing, everything. I invite everybody to make sure that they are part of this, because I want to show a collaborative spirit of Africanism to ensure that, you know, we do this together. Because, for example, Momodou can attest to this, that in United States of America, you are a writer, you finish your manuscript, first thing you do, you look for an illustrator, a graphic designer to design a cover for you, who might not be a writer. You understand? So one person cannot do all of these things. So that's why I'm not all of these things. I have to make sure that I also show them that spirit of collaboration, you know, let them learn it and copy it from me. Now I'm happy that even if musicians are launching their albums, they try to invite poets to perform. Even if government officials are having conferences, they also invite poets to come and perform. So all these things are coming up gradually. It's just a matter of going back to what Momodou had said, you know, it's just to make sure that the action is done more than the talking, you know. Yeah, if we hold them accountable, if we take more actions, yeah, I'm quite sure things are going to be, the future will be quite bright, you know. So that's what I wanted to say. And I will be having Professor PLO Lumumba from Kenya to also make a 30-minute presentation on this day, because it's a day of Bob Marley Day. Bob Marley was also a Pan-Africanist conscious singer, you know. I think you all know that. And then the day is very important for Africa, not just for my book, but for the African people, for the youth, you know, not just the talking aspect, but to also go and learn something that will force you to do something for your country. Like I am doing my part, I'm writing, even if I'm not talking, it's also doing something. It's part of
You are mute.
Yeah, so that's where I wanted to close. Maybe now I will allow you to ask questions.
Yeah, so there's one gentleman, Omar, maybe you know him, ML, but he also joined. Maybe after my sister, we can just let him say something after Sam. Yeah, you are muted, my sister.
Sawaneh, I just want to leave now because, you know, my kids are already making something.
Okay. So say your last words,
yes.
something like that.
I just want to borrow the word again from you, Mr. Sawaneh. Let's walk the walk. So anyway, good luck, ML, and very good luck on your launching, and I wish you all the best. And hopefully, I will read your book very soon. On maybe right on. Yeah. So all the best.
Thank you, my sister, for the time, and then definitely we love to see you here and hear you. Take care.
Yeah. I will try to come definitely. If I'm free, just expect me. I will be there.
Thank you, Mrs. Boach.
Bye, Sam.
Alrighty.
All right. So we have Omar, ML, before we go, Omar, if you have something.
There.
Huh? We have the gentleman, Omar who joined, Omar Bo. So I don't know if you know him.
I didn't hear you, Momodou. Now, what did you say?
We have a gentleman, Omar Boom, who just joined.
Fantastic. That's great, you know. I know him. Omar is also another very dynamic youth. In fact, he's one of the people who are waiting for me at the meeting. So they keep on calling. So that's why at some point I'm breaking.
Okay.
All
right. So let us let you go. If you have nothing to say. Again, Sam, thank you so much for your time. I think I asked all the questions. I hope our listeners are really gonna get something out of this. And let's share it. This is very educative, very interacting. We had it here before, but this one is really, really at another level. So I learned a lot.
Yep. Thank you so much, ML. We'll look forward to that launching of the book. I wish you all the best there, and I hope it's a success. And we will be here to support you, and we will all try to grab a copy.
Yeah, you can count on our support. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll order the book.
So thank you.
And definitely we'll be featuring you. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
That really makes me happy. I'm so excited to hear this from the three of you. And let me just say, all of you, thanks for all your support. I really appreciate, and thank you for inviting me on the New Gambia today. And I look forward to collaborating with you and having you around another time to discuss more other things. Thank you very much. My regards to your entire family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. Take it easy, man. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
See you. Catch you. Take care, guys.